Hello, good evening, and welcome to this special branch meeting for an update on the Count Me In campaign. Thank you all for joining us. We have some special guests tonight, and I want to thank Tracey Fussey for joining us from the NT. Also, Davie Bowman, CWU Assistant Secretary and Lead for Openreach. Thank you very much. We have some questions that were unanswered from our last meeting, which we'll come to. But before we go on to them, I'll hand you over to Dave Booker for a quick word.
Thanks, Martin. Yeah, and thanks again to Chris Webb to HQ for doing all the technology again for this. And obviously, this is only our second full branch meeting on this kind of platform across 3 platforms. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube tonight. And just to thank you for all those people that did view us last time. The response was absolutely amazing, really, really good. Let's hope we can sort of match that tonight or get somewhere near it. And for those that are tuning in, thanks very much for taking time out at home to tune in and listen to us and get an update. Thanks also for Tracey for turning up for a second time, and many thanks to Davie as well for coming in to answer any questions he's got specifically on Openreach. If you've got some, I'm sure there's plenty of Openreach members out there tuning in. Before I pass over to Tracey, though, I just want to mention the consultative ballot for BT Technology. So we might have some technology members on, and if you are on, you may have received something today in one of these telling you about the consultative ballot. And it's just really to urge you, as many of you as possible, to vote and to vote yes in the consultative ballot. It's very important, and we get a good turnout and a good result in that. So Tracey's got some questions I think that we had advertised, and Martin, if you want to head over to Tracey, I'll speak to anyone in a bit.
Thank you very much, Dave. Okay, so we're going to hand over to Tracey. So as I said, we had some questions before. What I'll do is I'll position the questions and Tracey can go through them. The one that we had mentioned from last time was a question or an update on pay and pension, protected pay and pension. So there was another one. They were asking questions about redundancy payments, and I think the third one that we had is why no strike ballot yet. So I'm sure you'll have an update for us. I'll hand it over to you, Tracey.
Okay, thanks Martin and Dave, and obviously thanks for the invitation back to talk to the members this evening. I mean, obviously we had quite some wide-ranging discussions at the last meeting, and pay and pensions protection and the position of the company was certainly one of the issues that we were discussing. I mean, really just in terms of the update, the company position is that in terms of redundancy, that they do not see that anybody who's on pay and pensions protection which will be shown as a pay supplement in terms of your pay slips, that pay supplement would not be included in redundancy, and that's the position the company is taking. That absolutely is not our position. We've taken legal advice, and our position is completely contrary to where the company is coming from. So at the moment, that's where we're sitting. This will be obviously we'll be representing that back to the company, and our position will remain as that, as we see that. So that's the legal advice on that one, and I think it's one of the many examples that you'll be aware of where the position of the company has changed in over the recent months in terms of how they're viewing the agreements that we've got. That obviously you as employees have which have effects upon you. So it's one of many, what we would say, attacks upon your terms and condition and agreements that we've got, and obviously that would have quite a significant impact for anybody who would be made redundant as a consequence with those who have pay and pensions protection.
Thank you, Tracey. Okay, so I suppose that pay and pension, no strike ballot.
Right. Yeah. Why no strike ballot? Okay. And I think I would understand why members would be posing that question at the moment. The thing is that we're at the moment we are still in the process of negotiating with the company, and we do believe that is the best way possible to try to find a resolution to what is a multitude of issues that are sitting there at the moment. And as we're all aware, that the company is attacking on all sorts of fronts in terms of your terms and conditions, redundancy payments, which I'll cover off in a moment, the Better Workplace programme, which is clearly going to see many people displaced across the country, and the redundancies that are ensuing as a consequence of that, and the compulsory nature of them, where before the company would deal with resourcing in a very different way and look to transition people into different roles. Those opportunities are certainly not there anymore. So we've got a whole host of different issues across the company at the moment. And if we're going to ballot for industrial action, that will be really at the point where the negotiations are not delivering what we need or what you need in terms of in terms of your future with the company. And this is very much a very important point, in time, in terms of our discussions with the company. So we are negotiating. We're also raising the campaign in terms of awareness across the wider population, in terms of the media, looking as well to introduce and include a political aspect to this, and we've certainly got a lot of interest from MPs as well across the country in terms of what BT are doing. So we think it's important that we build to that, and it's also important that the company on the road to that understand the strength of the feeling of you as the employees, our members, in terms of what they're actually doing across the company and what they're doing to you as the members. So we're very much building. We absolutely believe there will be no question in terms of what any ballot would result in, but we believe we're giving the opportunity for the company to do the right thing, and really then it's in their hands to do that. The redundancy payments question that came up, Martin, as I said, it's another one of the attacks that we're getting in terms of the arrangements that we've got, and long tried and tested arrangements with the company. And as we know, the company's position is, and their proposal is, and it's out for consultation at the moment across the company, to introduce completely different terms for redundancies and severance. And needless to say that for the longer serving people, it would basically see that their severance pay would be halved, which is clearly a massive change. And we've questioned the company's rationale in terms of doing it, that they say that it's too complex, it's inconsistent, and it's therefore unfair. Well, we would say back to BT that their position is unfair. This is completely an unfair position to do, and there's no wonder that the company are seeking to change the severance terms at the very time that they're seeking to make so many people redundant. So I don't think there's any question in terms of what their desire is, and obviously they would want to do that at the least cost possible, which of course will be the effect upon our members who are exiting the company. So there is consultation at the moment in terms of the proposals from the company. We've urged all members to respond to that consultation and let the company know exactly what you think. I don't think there's any ambiguity, by the way, in terms of what we're hearing from you in terms of your stance and what you feel the company are behaving like at the moment. But it really is helpful if you do take time just to reply to the company and tell them what you absolutely think. The situation, and we can't stress, and Davie will come in shortly and tell you exactly the same. The situation that we're facing with the company is very severe. It's I would say one of those moments in time that we have to do something, and it's in your hands as the members to actually to drive the direction, and we've got to fight it every bit of the way. And the attacks on your redundancy payments, which at the end of the day is the very thing that when you're exiting the company through no desire of your own, the company, even to that very last moment, are looking to do something that's going to create enormous difficulty and pain for a lot of people in terms of financially being able to continue when you're then out of work. So it really is important.
Thank you, Tracey. Just want to say that so far we've got 500 people tuned in so far. Keep sharing across all the social media, so spread the word that our meeting is on. So that's really great so far. Just before we move on, Dave, do you want to add to that from an Openreach perspective?
Yeah, I think if I can pick up the point about the when we ballot and how we get to that ballot, I think the engagement carrying out meetings like this. I mean, that's a fantastic number of people already. We've only been open for 10 minutes. I mean, it's incredible, isn't it, that we can do that and this level of engagement. If I can give you a practical example, Dave mentioned the technology consultative ballot and the importance of people taking part, and I can't stress that enough. You know, we held a consultative ballot for the repayment planners, asking them in order to maintain the grading, and I want to say a bit about grading and Openreach in particular, but to maintain the grading for that role and for it not to be moved to a management role, we held a consultative ballot, and we got a 92% turnout and a 90% vote yes, that they would support strike action. So the next step for us will undoubtedly be a statutory ballot, and we will have to do all the preparations correctly legally, because the law is not on our side, it's not on your side. It doesn't make it easy for us to be able to do that. So getting involved with the campaign, getting involved with the consultative ballot and technology is absolutely key, because as Tracey said, we are dealing with a completely different company now. The approach on almost every issue is either no, or to try and get you and therefore us in a position where there is a level of race to the bottom. And I'll come on and talk, Martin, more about sort of 2 or 3 things within Openreach that are going on just now. But I know you did have a question, and it comes up about our hours, so I might as well deal with it just now. The Our Hours campaign started, it didn't take off, and I've got to say the company just completely ignored us on that issue, because in their mind, they believed that actually it was a CWU issue and it wasn't a members issue. And no matter how many times we told them, the petition and the activities that people were taking place, they didn't believe us. Now that level of arrogance that it's somehow a CWU issue, it's not a members issue, it's what we're facing right across the piece now. On absolutely everything we are challenging the company on, they need to understand your level of anger. They need to understand that you are going to be part of this campaign and part of something that fundamentally changes their approach to how they're dealing with people. I mean, isn't it absolutely dreadful that we reach an agreement that includes severance terms? As difficult as reaching that agreement was, and because what they want to do now is actually utilise it, they've had another read of it. Maybe they didn't understand what they agreed in the first place. They've had another read in it, and because it's a wee bit expensive, then what they're going to do is withdraw. I think that's an absolutely excellent example of the type of company that we're dealing with now. It's not the company that many of you joined, and it's certainly not the people that we're dealing with now that we're used to dealing with, that will sit down, listen to a rational argument, listen to counter proposals, and do the right thing by their employees and our members. And we are just going to have to show them that as a collective, we're not going to put up with it.
Thank you, Dave. Much appreciated. Okay, so just want to say hello to Carol in Dover, Peter in Sandgate. Thank you for your support. Messages coming in. Don't forget, keep spreading the word. Cannot stress that enough. Paul Chadwick, Solidarity comrades from Warrington Mail Centre branch. So wherever, from the whole country, people are now tuning into this to see what's going on and giving them their support. Christopher Sheldon in Derby, thank you very much for joining us tonight. So what I'll do now is I'm going to pass you on to Tracey to give her update, and then when we'll take some more questions, and then we'll go to Davie again. So see what more we have on Openreach. So if you've got some questions for Davie, as he's the lead officer, get them into us now, and then we can feed them to Dave so he can give you an answer. First, Tracey, over to you.
Thanks, Martin. Yeah, I mean, look, I think the situation as it is progressing at the moment, it is becoming quite critical. I mean, we're certainly out on the road as much as we can do in terms of the situation with COVID, and we're having massive engagement with members up and down the country. And we asked you very early on in the campaign to show your alignment with the campaign by letting us know, if we could count you in, and those numbers of members, employees of BT, have grown enormously. So we do thank you for that. But whilst we're obviously heading on a path where we're still having members made redundant, we've got obviously the notification in technology that in the next week we've got a 200 redundancies effective really from next week, and we've got the consultative ballot that's currently taking place across technology, which we would urge every technology member to participate in and show the company exactly what you think, because it's all of this is it's not just about yourself, it's about your colleagues wherever they may be in the rest of the company, and the wider effects upon the union moving forward. And this is why it is so important that every single one of you is involved in the campaign, that we take the time to engage with, we take the time to talk to you about what this means, what the challenges are that we're facing, and what it looks like down the road in terms of how the company are, the decisions that the company are proposing, the decisions that the company are making, and how that will affect us and yourselves moving forwards in terms of your employment. As we know, we've had colleagues, members that have left through compulsory means and through the company. That was a significant attack and a significant change of direction in terms of how BT are operating. And though it may be feeling like that it's small pockets of people in parts of the company, and for some of you, you're not affected by that directly at the moment, one thing is really clear, is that this is not going to leave any of us, anybody who works for BT, Openreach, unaffected moving forwards. And though it may not be immediately on your doorstep or in your locality at the moment, the effects of what BT are seeking to do and are in fact starting to do will certainly cross every one of you. So it is important that you do link up to the campaign, stay close to your branches, and I know all the branches, and Meridian particularly, are out there on a regular basis. You'll see them with a pop-up gazebo at various locations across their branch area, because they are very, very keen, as are all the branches, to make sure that members get the message, because we understand the significance of where we're now at, but what's more important is that every single member understands as well. So we are out on the road, and if you see your branch representatives, go and have a conversation with them, because it really is important. The Better Workplace programme, which we've talked about before, is a hugely significant change in direction in terms of how BT intends to deal with its estate and office workers. And as you'll know, in the media, there was an announcement quite a while ago in terms of over 300 of BT's buildings and the office and sort of call centre workers being moved into what was originally they cited as approximately 30. So 300 into 30, if you think nationally what that looks like, and if you think about it on a map and you can visualise that, that's a significant change in terms of where our members are going to be working, and what the effects of that programme are going to be is going to be quite dramatic. We've seen closures already in Aberdeen. We've had an announcement of the closure that came out yesterday, with expectation and the requirement for those people that work in those buildings to work to find a new job in another location that in many, many cases is going to be considerable amount of distance away from they currently work. And also, with public transport and all the challenges that, people have, some of the times to get to those buildings are going to be absolutely horrific. And those discussions are still ongoing with the company in terms of what that looks like. But the effects upon our members is going to be catastrophic, and the southeast particularly, in terms of where offices sit within the southeast, you can work it out for yourself what that looks like. When you think that we've got large call centres, and if you take those out of the equation of where the future looks like in terms of office estate, that's not a lot of buildings. And the process where BT are moving into sort of hubs and centralising offices doesn't regard to people's personal circumstances in terms of the challenges that may bring in terms of how they actually get to work, actually how productive and how healthy it is for people to work after travelling long distances to get to new locations. So major challenges, and that is exactly why we need to now stand up to the company. We need to be clear in our messaging to the company, and if there's any doubt from the company that our membership doesn't feel the same as maybe what your senior negotiators are in BT, in CWU, well, we need to put the message very clearly back to BT that this is your issue as CWU members, and you're going to stand absolutely firm against it.
Thank you, Tracey. Thank you to all the members so far that are joining us. I think we're up to 12,000 people so far, and we're 20 minutes in. So keep sharing the information on your social media and get everyone to join in on this meeting so you get all the information. So there's I've seen some names of people are coming up. Yusuf is in Ilford. There we go. Thank you very much for supporting us. Gemma Hughes, thank you very much. So let's have a look. Dave Saltmer in Dover. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. So what I'll have a look. I'll interject some of these some questions. I think here. Let's have a look. How do we get more in the press about this? That's one of the questions that we've been asked already. I give that to Tracey. Sorry.
Sorry, just repeat the question again, Martin.
Sorry. It says, how do we get more in the press about this?
Right. Okay. Yeah. I think it's going to happen naturally. I mean, the campaign is ramping up. We're ramping up in terms of what we're up to. I think BT will probably realise that. We are, as I said earlier, we are starting to have quite a lot of engagement politically in terms of, certainly what BT are up to at the moment. We have ways and means, but I think it's naturally going to start to deliver in the media. I mean, at the moment we've got quite a lot of activity on social media, and for us it's about reaching the wider public, and of course campaigns grow, don't they, in terms of who they reach and who actually then starts to look at what companies such as BT are doing, and people start to link into us, which they are doing. And I think the interesting thing with BT is that the general public is their customers, and a lot of our employees, of course, are also customers of them as well. So these things certainly start to grow. What's important for us is that all of you as members, and we obviously give a shout out to the wider movement, the trade union movement, and also our postal colleagues as well in the CWU, who have been through many challenges themselves over many years in terms of how the battle and the strife is within the their side of the union, and Royal Mail, and we would ask for their support as well, and in terms of solidarity and to support us moving forward. But it is a challenge. There's lots of things going on in the world, and there's lots of things that are going on in the UK at the moment that obviously do reach the media. But I think that you'll see a greater presence of the CWU in this campaign moving forwards, no doubt.
Thank you, Tracey. Got a question for Davie, if I can find it here on this list. It says, I work in OpenRoute. Will it really impact on us? I've been told my job is safe.
Okay, thanks for the question. And I suppose somebody said, are the company listening? Are they rattled? Well, I tell you what, in OpenReach, they are definitely rattled. If you look at what they did in service delivery today, all hands call, stop the clock, whatever they call it, basically with mythbusters, basically with lots of messages telling you that everything's rosy in the garden. Well, why do you think that was? And then Clive live at 5 a couple of weeks ago. Look, it doesn't matter where you are in the company, but let me deal specifically with OpenReach and OpenReach field in particular. Because that seems to be where the messaging is getting stronger. Look, we're fighting on all sorts of fronts at the moment from a field point of view, whether it's grading, right? I mean, big play they made today, wasn't it? Big play today about the fact that copper's going to be about for a long time and you're all safe in your job. Well, talk to the people who are TMNE 2 who have been waiting for the UG course for the last 2 or 3 years, or have actually been on half a course and it was cancelled. They can't get access to that in order to progress their career. The company's just not giving them the training. We've got proposals about the potential for contractors working, doing effectively repair on provision. So when they provide, if there's a problem with the repair or whatever, then just give it to the contractors. They can get on with that. Fibre build, the whole fibre build programme is effectively going to turnkey, and you know about the impacts of contractual overtime. So lots of things that we're fighting on at the minute. And you've got the managing director of service delivery, whose consistent message just seems to be, if you don't like it, then there's plenty of jobs, go elsewhere. So yeah, absolutely, it's going to affect you. Let's think about a practical example. They talk about building this fibre network, and it's really important, isn't it? And they're taking, billions of pounds off the government and billions of pounds off a BT group in order to do that. And they want to do that because they want to get everybody on it. And once everybody's on it, then there's a debate about the work that would be left in terms of repair, maintenance, what happens in a fibre world. But they're also being a wee bit disingenuous when they talk about, copper being about for the next 15, 20, 30 years, as if somehow the workforce will be the same size. Of course it won't. They're moving towards doing that. So what happens in a place once it's been fibred, right? Then what they do is they stop selling copper. So the copper volumes start going down and they force people onto fibre. And they're going to want that fibre provision to be done and to be done and to be done. And what happens then in that place when that's happened? Salisbury already fully fibred. What actually happens at that point when actually they don't need the number of people that they've currently got just now? Well, I'll tell you what, if we don't win this fight on their approach to compulsory redundancies and their approach to redeployment, in the past, if we've had an issue, I'll use a good one that seems to resonate with people regardless of age. Ask yourself, when was the last time you used a payphone? We used to have hundreds of people. And in fact, the control was in the southeast. Hundreds of people doing payphone maintenance. Payphones began to dry up because everybody uses mobiles now, right? All those people that were on payphone maintenance, they didn't all of a sudden get made compulsory redundant. What did we do? We retrained people. We redeployed them. That's a practical example in the field. Now, do you really think that if the company gets away with having an approach to becoming a hire and fire employer, that once it comes to a situation where there is a surplus for field people somewhere, wherever it is, then they'll just push the button on you as well? You see, it's not about what's happening to you now. It's about what will happen to you and your colleagues and those coming behind you in the future. Because fundamentally, it changes the relationship, doesn't it? If what they want to do is wholesale use compulsory redundancies, then the reality of the situation is they're not interested in redeployment. They're not interested in paying pension protection in order that somebody that's progressed their career but now has to do something that's actually paid slightly less, that actually their pension is looked after. So it doesn't matter where you are in the country, and it's great. Somebody there, Langston, Mark in Langston, Cumbria, people in Alford, people, right? It's great, absolute Warrington, absolutely smashing, that you're on these calls and that you're getting engaged with this issue, because you need to look at this fight and you need to look at this campaign, not on will it impact me today or will it impact me tomorrow or will it impact me in 2021 or 2022. We are fighting for a relationship with the company and with a relationship with you as their employer that respects you and that treats you as a blue chip FTSE 100 company should, not by engaging in the race to the bottom. And don't think for 1 minute that they're finished on that race to the bottom when it comes to field roles, right? We've got the trainee role. After 12 months, it assimilates into the TMNE2 lower pay point. Don't think for 1 minute that they're not looking for, when the fibre to the premises rollout really starts to ramp up, that they're not looking at something even worse in terms of what they could do and how they could employ people. And do you think if they employ people on those terms and conditions, that somehow that's not an attack on yours, or it's certainly a threat to yours. So please don't be under the impression that because you work in the field, because you're in a location, for example, in a location where the company have said it's going to be a strategic location, that your job is safe, because it certainly isn't. So this is a fight about today, but it's a fight about the future.
Thank you, Davie. Just want to let you guys know, I think I said 12,000. I said it should have been 1,200, but we're now up to 1,500 people viewing the video at the moment. Just want to ask Davie, I mean, he's touched on field. Can you give us your perspective on Openreach's desk people?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, everybody will know, well, you might not know, Openreach has announced that where it's going to be is only in 9 locations across the country. But even that is, another bit of dodgy accounting, because in reality, from a CWU point of view and a team member point of view, they're only going to be in 8 locations, because the London site that they've got is Judge Street, and Judge Street effectively will be for the senior managers transformation. All the people that are making the sort of decisions that are impacting your life just now. So they're going to go from, people across lots and lots of sites, because during working together, you'll recall, which was the last location strategy in Openreach, what we managed to do was get an agreement that said if people couldn't move to the 30-odd sites, they started with 23, we managed to get it up to 30-odd, one of which was, as a retained site, was Portsmouth, one that was a full site was Brighton, for example. And we managed to get a deal where they agreed if people couldn't move, they would bring work to people. That's off the table. They're not interested in sticking to the working together agreement. And how they're going about it at this point in time, and it's particularly acute in London and the South East, because Openreach, from a team member desk point of view, are pulling out of London and the South East. There will not be anything. And if you look at the figures at the moment, then you're well over 1,000 people that are directly impacted by that change. So how are they going to do it? They're going to they're going to close those places and they're going to change to the other locations. How are they going to do it? Well, the first thing they've done is they opened up paid leavers. So that gets rid of 600-700 people. But oops, we actually still need the work done. So what will we do? Well, we'll utilise offshore, all right? Lots and lots of offshore. The proportion of offshore is huge. We'll use offshore, and then what we'll do is we'll go to the other centres. So we'll go to Birmingham, we'll go to Bristol, we'll go to the other locations, Glasgow, for example. And what they will do is they will employ people on lower grades in those locations, right? So this is not about the work disappearing. This is about the work still having to be done, but they are choosing to do it somewhere else. So we've got a situation, certainly from an offshore point of view, where the proportion of work offshore is large in terms of compared to the level of people on desk in the UK. And one of the things that is particularly abhorrent from our point of view, and I mentioned that I think in my first contribution with regard to that, and that is that they are seeking a good chunk, if not all, of the 5 billion quid that the government has promised to get fibre rolled out to those places where the commercial build doesn't make it viable for companies to do it. They want £5 billion from the government in order to build that fibre network. And what they're doing, and by the way, during COVID, from the CWU's point of view, and certainly from my point of view, and looking after Openreach, I mean, I think our members have done an absolutely fantastic job, whether desk-based, so therefore working from home, or whether going into people's homes and providing and maintaining service for people to allow them to work from home has been exemplary, absolutely fantastic. So in a situation where they want to take the government's money to build a fibre network, to allow people to work from home, to allow communities to have fibre and therefore create new businesses, in those circumstances, what they're doing is they're taking that money and they're creating jobs offshore. They're not creating UK jobs for UK labour, right? That's what they are doing and maintaining those jobs. So in a situation where we've got people in a location that is not one of the favoured locations, our argument and actually our agreements say that they should be bringing that work back. But no, that's not what they're doing. What they're doing is creating new centres, creating bigger centres, and employing people on less money than they are employing the people that they are going to displace. And look, we cannot get through the Better Workplace programme, the location strategy, whatever you want to call it. We will not be able to get through that without people being at risk and being made compulsory redundant if they do not change their approach to how they are doing this, right? They're not even giving people who are displaced in these locations the proper protection when if what they're doing is going out into field roles. So Martin, you know, the location strategy, your branch from a Meridian point of view is just absolutely destructive, because they are pulling out of London in the southeast, and they will employ people on lesser terms and conditions or less money in the locations. And one of their key points of picking where they are going is a vibrant labour market. So they're going to places where they know they'll be able to employ people on worse terms and conditions and less wages. So yeah, that's Openreach's approach, and no doubt they'll come on and they'll tell you that everything's rosy in the garden and everybody will be found a job. Well, you tell me, for the 1,000 and odd C3s that there are in London and the southeast who are currently doing desk-based roles without the protection of pay and pension protection, or even with it, that they will be able to redeploy those people into field roles, into senior field roles. It just ain't going to happen.
Thank you, Davie. Much appreciated for your comments there. I've got one more question for you, Davie, and that is been asked as how can, as an Openreach engineer, how can we get more involved in the campaign?
Oh yeah, fantastic. Great stuff. Look, you're still out and about there. You're seeing your colleagues. We've got a huge number of people here tonight. You're seeing your colleagues. You talk about the campaign. We're certainly, and I know the branch will provide you with all the merchandise you need in terms of advertising it, whether it's posters, whether it's hoodies, whether it's schnood things, whatever it is that the branch is doing to advertise it. And talk to your colleagues, take the message back from tonight, explain to them, and especially from a field point of view in Openreach, explain to them that this will impact them at some point in the future, whether it is they want to progress their career into a desk role, whether it is, and you know, sad but true, we've got people that work in the desk who have been loyal employees for years and years and years, who are not physically capable of going back out and into the field, not through their fault, many of them through accidents at work or as a result of long physical work. So talk to your colleagues, talk to people about what is going on. This is fundamentally about getting a very clear message across amongst ourselves, amongst the membership, and certainly, you know, anybody. And you know, from an Openreach perspective, we're lucky. We've got a very, very high membership penetration. Anybody that happens that we've missed, that we haven't managed to persuade to join the CWU, then talk to them and get them to be part of the party. There's lots that field people can do. I know that you've been out and about and talking to them in stores. You know, you've got to go to the stores hubs on a regular basis from a field point of view. Talk to your colleagues, tell them what's going on, point them towards the website, point them towards the branch website, point them to coming on to meetings like this and having those debates. And the other thing, certainly, that in some branches have utilised is actually standalone meetings in order that we can deal with the specific issues that people have got. So, you know, if there was a group of people that wanted to have a right good natter about the impact on field, we can do that. If it's desk, we can do that. Repayments planners, we have meetings with them. We had a meeting with the repayments planners. I spoke about them earlier. We had a meeting with them on Monday night. There's a meeting going on now. My team are having a meeting with them now to talk about the campaign, to talk about the industrial action ballot, to talk about the type of industrial action that we can take going forward for their issue, which is a grading issue. So there's lots people can be doing. I'll tell you what, the CWU it will never turn round and say to you, I'm sorry, we've got enough helpers. Anything you can do, everything you can do, get involved.
Thank you, Davie. Tracey, I'm going to come back to you on the question that we were covering off earlier about the strike issue of one redundancy and we balance. Could we ask you to comment on that one, please, before I ask you for your final thoughts?
Yeah, thanks, Martin. Yeah, look, and it's a really important question, and I would understand why members would be asking if that's the policy, if that's our mandate. What are we doing? And this is really important that we get this right. This is Davie and myself have both explained. Your branch have been telling you this is a massively important moment in time in our relationship with BT. We've not changed what we do. We're still an interested party and haven't changed how we view that relationship. But we certainly are faced now with a company that is facing in a very, very different direction on all sorts of things. The redundancies, the terms and conditions, the location strategy, the offshoring of work that's leaving our members at threat of compulsory redundancy, across enterprise, across BT Group, the whole shebang, basically. So the relationship is now very, very different. And the balloting for industrial action is something that the executive have been discussing and will be discussing moving forwards. We have had compulsory redundancies, and I think it's first. The moment that BT moved into its first redundancy sent shockwaves right across the company, in terms of the membership and employees. But we need to make sure that this is absolutely right, that what we do is at the right time and will have the biggest effect that we possibly can have with the company, because they need to understand that the way that they are attacking their employees, the attacks that they're posing in terms of all the agreements that we've got with the company on so many different fronts, that we're just not going to tolerate it. But we need to be in the very, very best position that we are as strong as possible, that if we press that button, and I would suggest that if the company don't start to seriously engage with our senior negotiators in terms of how they're dealing with these issues, that button will very, very quickly be pressed. And there is a massive calling from the membership, and certainly from branches who represent those members, to do so. And I think BT need to take real cognizance of that fact that we're talking to you and we're asking you to talk to us and negotiate properly. But there will come a point very, very soon that if you don't, I guess, respond in the way that is needed, the question that is posed there, Martin, in terms of that the strike issue will become very, very real. But we have to get to that place that we're strong, and we're happy to talk to the company at the moment, and that's what we've been doing. But like anything in negotiations, there may well come a point where that position ceases.
Thank you, Tracey. Okay, so what we need to do now, I'll ask everyone to sum up their positions on what we've been talking through this evening. I'm going to ask Dave Booker first to give us a minute, just to sum up. Over to you, Dave.
Yeah, well, thanks, Martin. Thanks everyone for the contributions and the questions, and there's been some good ones, particularly the strike one's been hanging around for a while, and I suppose from my point of view, what I want to finish on is it's kind of a plea to the members, really, and it's where we hear them, get frustrated, get annoyed, and they get, their anger sort of directed at the union or whatever, whether it's because there hasn't been a ballot or whatever it might be. I just ask them to just to think for a minute and realise that this is the most important campaign. It's count me in, the most important campaign we've ever had. If we don't get this right, then all bets are off, right? So direct that anger at the company that's put us in the position, right? Direct it at the company, not at the union, because we're all the union, and now is the time when you can play the biggest part you can in making the change, right? And you don't have to rely on everyone; it's down to you. And one of the most important things you can do that will help any potential ballots or whatever come up is make sure that you've given the right information to the branches and that, because we're still writing out to people saying we haven't got this, we haven't got this bit of information or that bit of information, and we're still waiting for that to come back. We've written 3 or 4 times trying to contact people. So it's really, really important. If you get something from us, if you get a call from us, return that call. If you get an email from us, return the email or a letter, whatever it might be. Return that with the information, because when it comes down to it, when push comes to shove, we do not want to have something knocked back because we've had X amount of people not responding, because then you can't blame us. That's down to those people that have neglected to do that. And we can't do any more than ask for that information. So it's vitally important. And by showing support to the union in this campaign, you're showing BT strength in numbers. And that is the most important thing, and that's what's going to win the day. And that's what could prevent strike action. Because if all of you out there are counting yourselves in, as I hope you will do, then BT will see that you're not going to be a pushover, right? You're going to be the ones that are going to be up for the fight. And if BT are not prepared to back down and go back and negotiate, that you will do whatever it takes to make yourself heard and to not put up with everything, the horrendous sort of situations that are going on with compulsory guns and everything else. All right, so it's over to you. Really, we can manoeuvre it, we can collate it all, but you need to show strength in numbers now. Support us. If you want to have a moan in private, that's fine. Do that, but publicly show your support. Right, and it can't be any more important than at this moment. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Tracey, final thought from you?
Yeah, cheers, Martin and Dave. Look, there's not a lot more I can say to what Dave just said to you. We would ask you to absolutely support your branches in terms of what they're trying to deliver. This is, it's our fight as a union, but it's your fight as members, and we can't reiterate enough that this company is not the company that it was. And this company is not recognisable to probably the one that many of you joined, years ago, and some of you many years ago. This is a pivotal moment in time, and it is for you as employers, and it certainly is in terms of our relationship with the company as well. So everything that the union asks of you, we're really asking you to support. Enter into consultation if you're being asked to respond. Certainly respond to the technology and consultative ballot. It's really important. We're going to continue campaigning. We're going to continue raising the ante, and you will see many things, I'm sure, over the coming weeks in terms of what we're looking to do. And I think it's really important, and I hope BT are listening this evening, and I hope they get the message very, very clearly that there's nobody that's in this, that's a member of this trade union that's going to sit by and let you do what you're doing at the moment. You've started it. You basically press the button. Well, we can press another one if you don't come around the table and start talking properly. So I would say, keep strong and stay connected with your branch as well.
Thank you very much, Tracey. I'm going to hand over to ask Davie Bowman, our Assistant Secretary and lead for Openreach, to give his final thoughts. And I have to say, honoured to have you here, Dave. Much appreciated as well.
Not at all. I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and it's a great medium for getting the message across. I think both Dave and Tracey have set out very, very clearly why it is so important that you get involved, that you are engaged, that you connect with the branches, because we are as one. We have to act as one, and we have to win this fight, and we have to get the company to listen. That's fundamentally what this is about, is getting the company to listen. I mean, I don't like the sort of history lessons or looking back and all the rest of it, but ask yourselves a question: whether you've been in the company 6 months, whether you've been in the company 6 years, or whether you've been in the company 30 years, 40 years, the last time we were in a position like this was 1987, where we actually went on strike. We were out, right? I was the branch chair up in Inverness at the time. It's that long ago. And we were out, and it was hard, and it was difficult. But the thing about it is, since then, since 1987, we've had a good relationship with the company. We've gone through many, many things. We went through privatisation. We've gone through location strategies in the past. We've gone through some real difficult times with the company, but we have always managed to find a solution. We've always managed to find a way forward that means that their employees, our members, have been treated with respect and, like workers should be across the piece. So why is it that we have reached 33 years later in 2020 and we are in this position? Why is that? It's not because the CWU has changed. It's not because somehow or other there's a leadership, whether at national level, regional level, branch level, all of a sudden, all we want to do is have a fight with the company. It's not like that. It's not about that. The people that have changed, Tracey, I hope they are listening, the people that have changed are the company. They are not willing to treat you with the respect they once did. They are not willing to think about your future. And, my goodness, there's only one organisation, and that's the union, and that's all of us that is going to, win this fight. And we've been using this phrase in Open Reach with the RPEs, but it's very, very true. If we stick together and we fight together, then we will win together. So good luck. Keep up all the work that you're doing at the moment. It is really, really appreciated. We can all always do more, and we will. But I'm absolutely, absolutely sure that as an organisation, we will stick together, we will fight together, and by the Holy Harry, we will win together. So thanks very much for the invite. I've thoroughly enjoyed it.
Thank you, Davie. I just want to mention tonight we've had 3,400 people tune in tonight. That's an incredible figure. And for everyone that's tuned in, thank you very much. Hopefully you've found that engaging and worthwhile to hear the information that's been given to you tonight. We don't know if they've all tuned in to see Dave Booker's hair tonight. That mentioned that has been. From everybody from the senior management in the CWU that have been messaging us saying about the meeting tonight. Thank you very much. Everybody that's come on, thank you very much for your time. We will be back for another meeting, no doubt, and we'll be out and about in Kent with our pop-up office, as we call it, and come and speak to us. If you want to talk to us, our numbers are in the Union Diary. So come and have a chat with us. I think one quick one from Dave Booker.
Just one last point, and it's touching on what Davie said earlier about specific meetings for people. If people do want a specific meeting like this for their particular unit, get in touch and we'll set it up.
Yeah, not a problem.
Okay.
Thank you, Dave. Well, that's what we've got time for tonight. For everybody that's joined us and for our guests tonight, thank you very much. Much appreciated. And we will be in touch soon. And just remember, the union is only as strong as us. Yeah, we are the people that are in it. So if you want to make a difference, we have to all pull together to make a difference. Thank you very much. And good night and have a good evening. Speak to you soon.